They weren't rich, they weren't famous, and when they first picked up their brushes to paint the wild landscapes of Canada, they were ridiculed, called radicals, eccentrics, dreamers. Their art was too raw, too strange, too emotional. It didn't fit into the tidy world of polite galleries and colonial taste. But they didn't care, because they weren't trying to paint Europe. They were trying to paint Canada. And in doing so, they gave this country something it didn't even know it needed: a soul. They were known as the Group of Seven. Not a political movement, not a government initiative, just a group of artists, painters, friends, visionaries who believed that the land itself could be a national identity. They saw beauty not in well-manicured gardens or soft English hills, but in wind-lashed pines, thunderous skies, and rocks scraped bare by glaciers. They painted not what was safe, but what was real. Many saw a rugged and unforgiving landscape, but these painters, they saw something else. So who were they? Let's introduce ourselves to these 7 magnificent artists. Laurent Harris, the philosopher of the group, believed art could be spiritual, that it could lift the soul. His paintings of northern landscapes, of ice fields and mountains and Arctic light, were more than just scenes. They were visions, sacred geometries of color and form that made the wilderness feel holy. J.E.H. had the brush of a poet. His forests danced with movement. His skies exploded in color. He made you feel the energy of the land, its storms, its silences, its seasons. A.Y. Jackson brought grit to the group. He hiked deep into Quebec and Ontario, into Algoma, into the north shore of Lake Superior. He painted not for prestige, but because he felt the land demanded it. He was a soldier, a traveler, a believer in Canada's untamed spirit. Frederick Vley was the emotional core. Where others saw landscape, Vley saw the spirit beneath it. Haunted by his time as a war artist, he brought a raw, human intensity to everything he painted. His portraits felt like confessions. His landscapes weren't quiet. They trembled. Light, shadow, sorrow, awe, it all lived on his canvas. Arthur Lismer was a storm of energy. His forests bent and buckled with movement. His lines twisted. His trees danced. He painted like the land was alive and laughing. But Lismer wasn't just an artist. He was an educator, a fighter for public art, a believer that creativity belonged to everyone, not just the elite. Franklin Carmichael was the composer. Autumns blazed under his brush, fiery reds, electric yellows, crisp northern light. His watercolors sang with structure and calm. Where others chased the raw wild, Carmichael found balance between wilderness and civilization, between motion and stillness. He gave the land a lyrical, quiet strength. Frank Johnston came and went quickly, but left his mark. His skies glowed, his snow shimmered. He painted the mood of the north, misty, glowing, on the edge of mystery. More classical than the others, maybe, but still bold, still wild. And then, like a streak of northern light, he was gone. They came together in 1920 in Toronto and held their first show at the Art Gallery of Ontario, then called the Art Gallery of Toronto. Beneath the brushstrokes was a vision of Canada, not the Canada of parliaments or railways, but the Canada of forest and shield, river and sky. The landscapes they painted weren't empty, they were alive. And the group didn't sit in studios sipping tea. They went out, into the bush, into the wild. They painted in tents. They lived in boxcars. They hiked with canvases on their backs, through rain and snow and blackfly swarms, into places few had ever seen, let alone painted. In Algoma, in Algonquin, in Killarney, in the Rockies, and in the north shore of Lake Superior, they found their muse. They painted cliffs and canyons, birches and spruce, snow-laden hills and glowing autumns. And through it all, they captured something bigger than scenery. They captured the myth of the Canadian North. Please like and subscribe for more videos about Canada.